Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube segment, I want to be talking about an experience I had recently over at Casablanca, Casalinda Apartments. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but anyway. See, Casalinda, Casablanca Apartments, it's over by, it's on Murfreesboro Road in Nashville, Tennessee. And what happened was one day I went down there, okay, and I went there to pick up an application, right? And the gentleman there gave me the application. I told him I would take it home. I'll, you know, uh, fill it out completely, bring it back on Monday. It was a Friday in which I picked up the application. He said everything was fine. He said go for it, whatever, and have all the ducks in a row, so to speak. And I budged, and I filled it out completely, and I brought it back down there on that following Monday. And when I got to the office, the person told me, I guess he's one of the office managers, and he said, "We're sorry, we're not going to be able to rent out to you." And of course, I inquire as to why that is. And he said something like, well, because, basically because of past experience, I had been down there previously. And the other times, I fill out the application, I get approved or whatever, and then I would, basically, you could say I bailed out or just basically changed my mind. And I guess they didn't want to go through that again. The thing is, this time it was a more dire situation. It was more desperate for me, and I really needed, more of a cheaper, affordable place. And I understand. I even told him that I appreciated him being forthright and honest. Me being from up north, of course, I would appreciate it. I look back on that in retrospect. I really wish, though, that this person or the people there could have been cut me a little bit more slack. At least maybe have said something like, "Okay, you know, um, we'll go through the application this time." And if you get approved and you don't take it and you cancel out, then this will be the last time that you can apply. I felt like I could have gotten maybe a warning on this instead of, taking the application home and then wasting, my time on it basically. So I felt almost like they were returning the favor, okay, because, they perceived it as me wasting their time on some occasions. And now what happened was I go through a fairly extensive application. There's a pretty good amount of information I had to fill out, and what happened was I filled it out, brought it back in, and this is and they told me basically they weren't going to be able to rent to me. So it was basically a very tremendous waste of effort. And I try to, tell people that, just because somebody's in Nashville, Tennessee, doesn't mean everybody's always going to say the things you want them to say or act the way you think they should act. And the thing is, people wonder why, Nashville has a fairly good, homeless population. I'm not saying that it's all because of situations like what I described, but at the same time, it certainly doesn't help when we have to deal with certain coldness in society. The person, I think his name was Zan, but I'm not 100% sure. Person that I, talked to in the office there at the Casablanca Apartments, basically, was very adamant about, about not being able to rent to me. I even offered to, say, leave some money, like kind of like a deposit of some kind. I don't mean just like a $20 deposit, but a fairly good one, which would give more assurance that I was actually going to take the place. And it's a shame that it had to work out that way. I do understand, their viewpoint in a way because of the, the times that I was there previously and had, filled out the application, and then, once getting approved, I had declined, and they felt like they had wasted their time. So I was told, because we just don't want to go through, they want to go through the manpower or what have you to to go through your application. And because I guess they figured there was the chance I was going to bail out on them, like I may have done, like I did previously, basically. Not may have, which I did. And the thing is, though, um, it's a shame. What I say though in this is that it just validates what I've said in other, I believe in some other videos, that people can be very cold and callous, and you have people that are going to act like that in Nashville as well. Not everybody is all philanthropic and benevolent in this city. Unfortunately, I've gotten, the cold shoulder by many people, and all I'm trying to do is find like a little cheaper place to stay, and it shouldn't be like, moving, a mountain with a forklift, like this big, laborious, arduous task, but unfortunately it has become that way. And and what's ironic is that this time I was really more adamant about actually wanting, the place and following through, because I'm currently in a situation where it's fairly exorbitant, what the amount I'm paying where I'm at, and it's just really starting to become, really major, hardship on me. But my understanding, in all fairness to Casalinda Casablanca Apartments, I have heard, from some, just looking at some reviews on Google, it seemed like it got a majority of good reviews, and I'm sure it's probably a very good place for people to stay. They had some kind of special going on recently. It was like $800 a month, and I don't think there was a security deposit. So that's very enticing and alluring, and a lot of people, I'm sure, would really, would be willing to go for it because, Nashville, Tennessee, I understand the rates aren't like New York, but, when you're talking about, the year 2024 that we're currently in, and getting something, a place, an efficiency for $800 for a month, I mean, that's like a steal, comparatively speaking. I don't know what the average, rental price is per month on apartments here, but I'm sure it's got to be near 1,300 at least per month. I don't know the facts, and that's something you guys and gals out there may be interested in terms of conferring, on the internet. But that could be some, but that is, but the thing is, 800 a month. I mean, that is a very, really a very solid rate, a good rate to be paying. And, especially if you're in a situation where you're in a low income type situation. See, the thing with me, why it's been difficult for me, is because I just can't, there's a lot of things I can't do physically as far as work, and I don't have, a prodigious income, so I can't get, the approval from a lot of apartments because of that, because I don't make the financial criteria, the credentials in order to get approved. And this was something that was looking very enticing. It was something that was going to, be the cure to, my situation, but unfortunately the wind was taken out of the proverbial sails for me, and I understand why I was rejected, but at the same time I wish I could have gotten a little more latitude, at least one more chance, and they could have told me that that would have been my final chance, and that would have also given me more incentive to actually take the place and follow through if I was actually approved on the application. But that's what I really want to say. I can't really give, like, in terms of an actual review of the place because I never stayed there, but I would say though, in all fairness to the place, I believe I stated before in the video, that the Casalinda Casablanca Apartments is a place where it's very, feasible, as far as the price goes. I mean, there's a laundromat right next door to it. It's a fairly convenient location. The Dollar General is just like, 2 or 3 blocks down the road. You got a Taco Bell across the street. So it is a very, it is a, fairly decent, in terms of the convenience. I mean, you have your, some rough people occasionally be walking by, that area, but in terms of the stores, and you have, as far as the convenience for that, it's a good location. There's a bus stop that's right outside the apartment complex as well. So that's just what I wanted to get at. And this thing to keep in mind, people, and to remember, during, is that it's very important that, if you're somebody that's going to apply for an apartment, complex, or or whatever it is, a room to rent somewhere, efficiency, one bedroom, two bedroom apartment, or whatever. The persistence with the follow through is imperative, because look at what's happened with me. I had applied maybe a few times in the past, and I went through the same thing with them. I believe approved, I'm sure approved on all the other attempts, and then I would, bail out or change my mind at the last minute after they had gone through their work, in terms of just verifying my application and getting me approved. So, and so something like this, could happen to me, it could happen to you guys as well. So I think, the moral to this, what it comes down to, people, is that if you're going to, apply for a place to live, and, make sure you're very committed to it. And that's not going to be something, well, you go down there, if I'll fill it out, if I get approved, and, if I happen to change my mind, oh, no big deal. Because, it can affect you later on if you do change your mind after they, the management or what have you has gone through the application and done their legwork to get you approved. So it's really, it could affect, your status later on another application attempt. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.